Welcome to the Oh Hell No podcast, where Kay Nicole delivers a daily dose of inspiration by discussing passion, purpose, and struggle with people who are living their best life doing what they love. Here's Nicole.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Oh Hell No podcast. Today we have Dr. David Joyette. He is an author and a business coach. Welcome, Dr. Joyette. Thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Caribbean, St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Oh, nice. So I love my Caribbean connections because, yes,
you too?
Well, I was born here in the States, but both my parents are from Jamaica, so I'm very deep-rooted in my Caribbean roots.
We could understand the cultures.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I just like to big up my Caribbean people.
I love them.
Yes.
Well, love all people, by the way.
Right, but we have a special thing for our Caribbean, connection.
Yes. That's
right.
one of the reasons that they have changed Why We Must in the book.
Yes. So Dr. Joyette wrote a book, How to Develop a Winning Self-Image. And he has a lot of theories around self-image, and he helps people to, focus in on certain things and help them develop better self-image so that they can make better choices in life and progress. So tonight we're just going to talk about self-image. There's a lot of reasons why people have negative self-images or, they do certain things or react to certain things. So I want to ask you, what career did you think you were going to have as an adult when you were a child growing up?
Growing up in the Caribbean, my mother took me to a doctor, a medical doctor, and he lifted me up and put me on his table. And when I got home, I said to Mom, I want to be a doctor. I want to be just like Dr. Murray. So
Wow.
that is really the goal I set out to have. I really wanted to be a medical doctor. What happened, I came away to study. I was in the States, in Brooklyn, and I was going to NYU. And I was drafted, and I ran away from the draft and came to Canada. Then I started asking myself some very, very serious questions. I want to be a doctor. Yes, I'm going to have to do chemistry, physics, and maths, and that's what I started out doing. However, I realized my attitude stunk. I don't think I would have good bedside manners, so I decided to change, and this is where the change process started. So I decided to change, and I wrote some poems about life. What is life? It's not living yet. It lives with us. It's a totality of all our thoughts, ideas, and experiences, etc. But then I still wanted to be a doctor. I still continued along the path, and then I started medical school and realized my wife got pregnant, and we didn't have enough money. So I just said, okay, that's it. I'm not going to continue. And I chose another path, and the path was psychology and business. And that's where I end up, and then doing a doctorate in business, and from there on.
Wow. So do you see patients as a psychologist?
I'm basically no. I do not see them as a patient as such, but I have a group of companies I work for that I see, and I talk to them individually how we can put the company first, because as I've said, I'm here to help companies to grow, prosper, and develop. But companies have to deal with their people. The people is the greatest asset, not the customer. So I start working and developing the people in the companies. That's where my skills are going to that, the psychological part of psychology of work.
So when you started on your path down the psychology and the business arena, did you always have a focus on self-image, or did that evolve?
I would say yes and no. It evolved when I started working on me. Okay. But I say really the self-image, the attitudes and behaviors of others really rub me the wrong way sometimes, and then start asking myself my own questions, some old questions about me. And I think in the book, How to Develop a Winning Self-Image, and the preface of the book, I asked some very poignant questions about me. But first, there were first three more questions that I never put in the book. And those questions were, who am I? And I realized that before I get to who am I, which is the first one in the book, I asked the three first questions were, David, God love you, and you have parents. So we all have three gifts, three basic gifts, all of us. We have parents, a mother and a father. We cannot be in this world without a parent. And the second question is, we have life. That breath of life is common to every one of us. And the third one is we all have the ability to think, that cognitive ability to think. And then that brings me to the other five questions who am I? When I look in the mirror to see who I am, I smile, I frown. I like my smile, but I didn't like my frown. So I started to change and so act in accordance. So who am I? Why am I here in this world? There's a purpose, there's a reason for all of us. But I was focusing on me, my purpose in here. But my mother answered that question so many years before when she told me, David, you want to be a perfect son? Because I told her I want to be perfect, 100% perfect. She said, son, you will never be perfect. All perfect people are in the cemetery because they will never make another mistake. But she also said, you're here in this world to be of service to others. And when you serve them, you will be served. But she said, you have to learn. We are here to learn, to grow, and change. And then I said, but what have to change, Mom? She said, there will always be changes, David. So these are the things that happen. And from that I asked myself, okay, why am I here? Where am I going from here? Because life to me is a journey, not a destination. And as I tread through having a vision of where I want to go, where am I going? I don't know. I have to be of service to others. So I choose medicine. But I realized that medicine really wasn't for me because of my poor attitude and bedside manner with them. So I gave it all up. And then the fourth question, which vehicle will take me there? Which is medicine, as I mentioned. I went ahead of myself there. And then finally, the fifth question was, when I get there, what will I do? And there's where my quest. I start doing things like the psychology change in the minds of it, influencing changes, attitudes, and behavior. And that's what happened. And this book, How to Develop a Winning Self-Image, started because of a company I was doing some work for. He paid me handsomely, the president of the corporation, for his children to be trained. Unfortunately for them, they weren't paying attention. And I felt really, I'm robbing the man. So let me do something about it. Let me talk to him and see if he's going to willingly let me do some changes, do some visualization with them, take them through a process. And then he said, sure. I did it with them. And that was the beginning of this book. I teach them how to visualize things, the changes that they want to make in the company, the changes that happen in the household, how to do things, and to visualize it before it even exists, before it happens. So when they have free time, don't just waste the time. Visualize something. You're going to make a difference. And they did. And we were able to get them to do the course and take the direction that the company was. And the rest was history.
Okay.
And that's how I said it, yeah.
Wow. So you say we are 100% responsible for what happens in our lives. There may be incidents in our lives for which we are not the cause. However, we are responsible for how we handle life situations. Yes. Our greatest enemy within us is our attitude or habits of thoughts. Yes. So I 100% agree with that. I really believe that is true, and I believe that that's the cause of a lot of people's misfortune is that they don't realize that. So my question is, what are some obstacles that people face that would lead them to have a negative self-image and not really realize that it's them?
I will share something else with you that is not in the book, but is a personal experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to be the only colored person in the class.
Okay.
And the instructor was from South Africa. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we had to ask questions of each other and introduce my partner. We all had partners, and I introduced my partner to the group as well as he had to introduce me. As I interviewed him, got all the information to present to the class, he was supposed to get my information. The first thing he asked me, have you ever experienced racism? I think for a moment, and I said yes. How did you handle it, he said. My answer, I didn't know it was the right answer until now. A few years ago, the answer was, I don't have to handle the racism because really I'm not the racist. Okay, I don't have a problem. The racists have a problem. He has to deal with his problem.
Right.
Okay, so when I said, he continued down that path. And so when our time is up and we have to present ourselves, I presented him and he had to present me. And he said, David experienced racism. How did he handle it? He said he is not the racist and he didn't have to deal with it. You just move on and deal with somebody else. And which is true, isn't it? So we don't have to deal. We can walk away from these kind of things, but we choose to sit back there and think about it and talk about it and make it a part of our lives. To me, people have attitudes. You walk away from them. You don't have to deal with them. Okay? We have a choice. I don't blame them. Sure, they have their preferences. They have their discriminatory practices. We see government put laws, institute laws, and I've said that in the book. But we have laws that are there. They discriminate you on the face. They look really great. As I've said also that in Canada we can go out and buy a house. I live in Don Mills. And the area in which I live, I'm the only colored person in the area. Of course, the house was cost more money than if a white person was going to buy it, I guess. But they couldn't discriminate in selling me the house and cover it up and put it. We know that happen, but be aware of it. And we have to be determined to succeed at success, not to be bogged down with the things of the slave mentality and say, well, it's because I'm black and because I'm this, because I'm that. No, we shouldn't use these terms. Show it happen. I am here. I read about it in the States, and I've said about Willie Lynch. I mean, I think they have the wrong idea of calling lynching. Willie Lynch's lynching was really a psychological lynching. It was not physical. The physical thing was hate. But as he said, whatever he taught the white man, they can perpetuate it for 300 years and maybe thousands. And we see that happening today, even today. After 300 years, 400 years, it's happening today. Where we hate ourselves and we hate our own people. Why? Understand me?
Yes.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, obstacles are always going to be there, but I believe it's how we choose to respond, right? So I think that is basically what you're saying in a nutshell. We are in control of ourselves, and
good.
We're always going to face different things that are there within others, but we can't make it our problem, because then if we do, then nobody wins.
You can't drive a car, put it in drive, and look it backwards. You're going to have an accident. That's what many people do. They keep going back and looking back at it. I'll tell you this. We look at other cultures that have been disenfranchised, but they work with their people. And they educate themselves. And this is one of the things that hurt me very, very much. And you can probably hear it in my voice. Our people do not read as much as they should. They do not spend the time to look at things, to how to develop themselves.
And when you say our people, I just want to be clear, you're talking about black folks, right?
Yes,
okay.
I'm speaking about black folks.
Yep.
Okay. And studies have shown that we look at television 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, rather than taking a course or reading a book. I've been wrong, and I ask people, What the last time you read a book? What kind of book you've read the last time? They can't tell me. Man, one lady told me, and she said, well, when I finish university, that was the end of reading. Well, you can't do it that way.
Yeah. And there are so
Okay.
many ways to consume information today. I mean, you can listen to books, you can, actually sit
Well,
down
no,
and
I
read a book.
understand that, but many of them, all they do is, I will say it like this. Here am I going to spend all the time looking at television, looking at other people making money, why I ain't making any, and I ain't making any. I'm not growing. Their books, sure, you can have different forms of books and different forms of communication to bring information into you so you can excel. But I would everything starts with the mind. You have to enrich the mind. If you don't enrich the mind, then you'll destroy yourself and your family. I'm proud I have 2 kids, and I'm proud of them because they have walked. My daughter said, I'm walking in your footsteps, Daddy, but every footstep I see, your footstep ahead of me. My son has taken my footstep as well. He become a teacher, and so on. So I'm happy for them, but I also want to see it happen with others, because really, if as black folks, if we continue the path we're going, we are working ourselves back to a second round of slavery, where our value will be practically nothing.
So what do you say for people who don't come from a 2-parent household? Like initially you said that we all have 2 parents. We all come from, 2 parents. But some people don't actually have, moms and dads who really were there and provided a structure, home, setting and things like that. So for people who suffer in that area, what's the advice for someone coming from there?
My advice is, it's a community. It's not only your parents that bring you up. I could remember my mom and dad, my mom was home for part of the time in the early stages of my growing up. My dad was a tailor. He had his own tailor shop. So he was never home until late in the evening. But their community was there. And if I did something wrong, they would correct me. And I dare not go home and tell my mom, because I'll get another whooping, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were there to correct. And even if my mom and that person had words against each other, they had the right to correct. We as people, as human beings, but as black people, we have to come together and help each other. I know it's difficult, but I will always say that the task may be daunting, but we can lift each other up and help each other without, look at our young youths going to prison and so on. That hurts. It hurts tremendously, where I'm concerned, because as I said to one chap once, I was giving a little bit of talk to a few kids, and I said, tell me something. Who benefits from the criminal? And he said, no, he shook his head. He don't know. I said, good. Okay, but who benefits from the crime that you just committed? Well, I benefit. I did this, I did that. I say, no, you didn't. What you did, you employed the judges, the lawyers, the police officers, the social workers, the prison guards, and the prisoner, the other people in the prison. You are employing a whole industry, and you yourself are unemployed. You better change that attitude, my friend. Try to employ yourself. That's where I'm coming from. So we have to reach out to our youths and help them. They're sure they're young, and they want to do their own thing, but show them the reasons why. Not in a condescending manner, but as a friend. Don't exploit them. And I know if you put your hand on their shoulder, as a male, put my hand on a shoulder and I said, look, son, I care for you. I want to see you grow. I want to see the future. As I did with a group of students at high school when I took 30 students on how to define their success. When they leave, 2 people in that audience who said that they weren't, when we started out, only 2 said they were successful. When I completed the talk, all said they were successful. Why? Because they realized that they had a future ahead of them. We have to help them to find that future.
So how can one evaluate their own self-image?
By asking them questions. Okay, now I have it in a different way, the same thing, but in a little different way. The question is, you evaluate yourself. When you start looking at yourself and saying, I'm jealous of John or William, I envy them, or they are better than me, or you start having these thoughts, you are realizing at that point, realize, hey, I have a low self-esteem. I have some problems here. You shouldn't be jealous of anybody. You should not be envious of anybody. You should challenge you. Take the responsibility and challenge you as I did. I never envy people. So why? Because I feel I am just as good, and in many cases better than others, in terms of accomplishing the task that I put before me. And that's what we should do. Don't envy. Don't be jealous. But be responsible and take that responsibility seriously because it's yours.
Great. I like that. Tell us about the STOP concept.
The STOP concept, it's a concept developed many years ago. It wasn't really developed by others. I developed the concept by saying stop. But we have an emotional tool. It's to bring you from emotions to logic. If you are arguing or quarreling with someone, or you're angry at someone, your parents used to tell you count 10. You stop and count 10, but it didn't go beyond 10. And so I have come to the thing that I should bring this emotion to an end and say, no, we're going to go and say, well, here is where we go. You stop as a stop sign. You listen to what is being said and who is saying it. You do some research. Is that person really what they've said is true? Or why have they said it? You ask some questions, but you have to ask it with a balanced view, Bert. And you need to do more research. And you're doing this in a split second, okay? Because really, based on the conversation, you can be able to determine that. And then you consider your own opinion. What do I really like out of what was said or dislike? And then the pros and cons, and then you come up with a conclusion. And you have your own objective. What do you really want to get out of this form of communication? And once you did that, you make that decision, you then take action. That's what it is. It moves you from emotions to logic. It asks some question, why am I afraid of Joe? And you stop, you ask, why am I afraid of Joe? Because A, B, C, D down the line, and then you consider your own opinion. Well, Joe is not a bad guy, but I don't trust him either. Yes, but why don't you trust him? You start asking some questions. And don't ever forget to ask the reasons why, because the reasons why are very important until you come to take that action. That's where really what the concept, this stop concept is. It's an easy way to move away from emotions to logic.
So why do you think that so many people have trouble getting their emotions in check and even coming to terms with the fact that they even need to do that? You know, some people, they never realize it. It's always somebody else's fault.
You know why they don't realize it?
Why?
My dear, Nicole, when we were born, all of us as animals, every animal on this planet was programmed to hate anything that is not like them. All right? Yeah. A tiger would not, don't like a lion. A tiger would not like a human being. They will kill you. All right? They hate. But we, with our knowledge and our abilities, the ability to think and to be constructive, we have that ability to think, and we don't use it sometimes. And that's why you have to use these concepts. We said, okay, we will be able to think our way through it. That's why we, as individuals, hate is there. And that's why I said, we're shooting up one another and we're killing, and that's the primitive aspect of it, because that's hate. You have in the States, we have white people hating blacks and blacks hating whites, and we have the same thing, but even blacks hating blacks, because you don't think like me, I blow you away. All right?
Right. Yes.
Okay? Because you don't think. It's a matter of we use the caveman brain, I will call it, which is the deeper part of the brain, the old part of the brain. We do not use our ability to think, our frontal lobe that will say, no, I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. We look at the part of last resort. Quickly, just like the leopard will do, just like the tiger will do, last resort, I prep you, and there's the end of you. So we have to come to grips with the ability to think. And I will say this. The only thing that makes us different from any creature in the world other than human being is our ability to think. Thinking is our only resource, and many people don't use it. And if the great minds of this world have said, we only use 4% of it. Could you imagine if we only go and use another 1%, what it's going to be?
I know. I often think about that.
You see? Okay? That's why we have problems with this in this way. We have problems doing things this way.
Okay, because it's easier to just react on emotion rather than take the time
rather
to
than
think.
looking at logic.
Yeah, and logically make decisions. So what do you want people to take away from your book? If it's just one thing that they get, what is the one message that you want them to get?
There are several messages. You can change. You have the power to change your life. You have the power to change your mind. Change everything within you. You as a human being were created, yes. You as a human being was engineered, if I'm not saying. And you can re-engineer yourself anytime you want, in any fashion you want. Change it from what way you don't like the manner, you don't like your behavior, you don't like your attitude, change it. You can. You have that power. You have 100% power to control over yourself and your self-image.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about you as a business coach. How is your business structured? What do you go in with? What's your objective when a company hires you, and how are things broken down? Like, do you offer, you talked about some courses or something like that. So just explain a little bit. Yeah, sorry. Just explain a little bit to the audience so that if anyone is interested in possibly hiring a business coach as yourself, they know what they would be getting.
Yes. What I do is when I go to and speak to the president of corporation, the first thing I ask him where he sees his business being in 5 years. Where do you see your business in 5 years? And if I ask him that and he can't answer, he has a problem. Okay? Very often they will answer, and then I'll ask some other questions. I mean, you say, well, 5 years I want to be... Now, in terms of money, they will measure it because money is a measurement component. Let's say he's making $10 million now, and he said in 5 years he wants to make $50 million. Good. How are you going to get there? Why you want to really be there? And how are you going to get there? What vehicle are going to take you there? Coming back to some of the things I've used in my life. What vehicle will take you there? Are you going to put in new products? A new line in? Are you going to hire more people? Are you going to automate? That's how you're going to really get there to make that kind of money, because he uses money as a yardstick. And you get there, then you realize that, hey, yes, I have to do that, but I have to train my people. Good. So you have to train your people, and this is where I come in. We have products we can train people, like strategic planning, sales, customer service, and many other things that we do, that we can tap into to help the company to grow.
Okay, that's very interesting. So do you feel like you are doing your purpose work? And if you do feel like you are doing your purpose work, tell me specifically what it is.
I am doing, my purpose work is really to influence changes in behaviors now I request, because right now I'm retired, semi-retired, by the way, and I decided that I'm going back to do writing and doing the things that I really love doing to help to influence the changes, behaviors of others, so that they could be more productive in society and this world. I will leave this world a better place than I met it. That is my purpose. As I think to my mom when I was growing up and I leave the islands, I said I wanted to be a doctor, but I said God wanted me to be a minister. And today I feel I'm ministering to others by helping more people to grow, prosper, and develop by by changing their attitude and looking at their lives and being able to help their children. As they look at those children, those beautiful children, they can say, I love you. Not because of that feelings of materiality, but I love you because you are human, because you are you, because you are genuine. No material, because we cannot take materiality with us when we go on the other side.
I love that.
We take our love.
Yeah, that's beautiful. This is the Oh Hell No podcast. We talk about purpose, passion, struggle, all of those things that help shape us on our journey. And one thing is we always run into these moments that we experience during life. They can yield positive results. They can yield negative results. A lot of times these moments stop us dead in our tracks. And, sometimes we think, oh, hell no, this cannot be happening. Right. But, I hope that in that moment or, once the moment has passed, we can take something from that moment to press on in our journey. So I always ask my guests to share an oh hell no moment that they've experienced in their life, professionally or personally, that they have learned something from, or it has changed their perspective on something. So I'd like for you to share one of your moments with us.
Okay, one of my moments, I think this is a very, very, very serious moment in my life when I was at school, university, some years ago, many years ago. And I worked hard and pressed on to get, and I was a B student, B plus student. All my assignments was B pluses, and the professor called everyone in, not the same time, to his office for a talk. And he looked at me and he said, David, I am going to give you 2 C pluses. I did 2 courses with him, and he said, I'm going to give you 2 C pluses. I was floored. I thought he was mistaken. And I said to him, no, I have all these, and I got my grades, everything. And he said, and this is what hurt, and it really hurt me badly. And he said, David, is not what you say you're worth, is what I put on this piece of paper that has value. I had to compose myself. My eyes turned red and I was angry. But I composed myself and I said, as I walk into the door, I said, Professor, give me what you say you're going to give. But I promise you, I have 2 more courses with you. I promise you, you would not have a choice but to give me what I truly deserve. I walked out of his office. I cried. It hurt, but it meant still a lot to me. That's why I will always say it's not really, it's how one view his life, his or her life. And that's why I said we take responsibility for everything we do. And I did the 2 more courses, and at the end of it, he said to me, I got 2 A pluses because I worked harder than I have ever worked before. I went home at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, because I asked permission to work in the lab and to do the things that I have to do to complete my assignments. But I got 2 A pluses, and he said, I screwed you the first time, but I can't screw you now. You're a darn good student. And that, to me, is a lesson, because it hurt. I withdrew for a while, and then determined really where I want to do, what I want to do, and how I'm going to do it. And one thing it did, it made me better. For adversity provides me with that opportunity to do better and achieve more added value. And because of him, I am who I am today, because I had to work harder.
Wow. That is a great way to look at that oh hell no moment. I commend you.
Well, others will look at it and give up.
Right.
But one has the tenacity, determination, and drive to succeed at success, and never allow another person to put you down and stay down. Okay, because really when they say, no, he was white, yes, that's fine, but I am just as good as he is, and I will work hard to do it and make it fair. And I wish all my people should do the same. Be hard-working, be tenacious, and have that activity going.
That's right. So please tell us how we can buy your book and reach out to you and find out all the things that you're doing and involved with.
The book is on Amazon. It's all over. It's in Barnes and Nobles. In Canada here, it's in chapters. My whole goal in life is to leave this world a better place.
Well, I think you're doing a great job, or you have done a great job, and you can continue your amazing work. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing a little bit about yourself and what you do with us. And I really feel like this was a very great episode. I love talking about self-image and checking ourselves, because that's something that we should all constantly be working on, is to, be making ourselves the best version of ourselves every day, working to improve and be better. So I really appreciate it.
And, tell my people, don't forget to dream. They must never give up. Don't overcome the fears and so on. And invest into themselves, because this is the only thing you will take out of this world. The investment you put in yourself, not the investment you put in property, land, and you know what I mean. Are you there?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show.